today is a very special day. It is my sister's birthday, and all she's told me is to make her a beautiful looking cake. So I thought it was a perfect opportunity for me to make a rainbow cake, because lots of you have been asking how I make mine. So we're going to start off with my normal sponge, but this time I've done it chocolate flavored, and loads of you ask me how I make a chocolate sponge, and it's super easy. I simply replace 25 grams of the self-raising flour with 25 grams of good quality cocoa. I've written the recipe below, but that is it. So that's for a 6-inch cake. For an 8-inch, I think it's double, so it's 50 grams. I have actually done an extra tall 6-inch. So again, I've written the quantities below, but basically I wanted it to be a little bit taller than my regular cakes because we're gonna do stripes up the side, and I want it lovely and tall so you can clearly see all the stripes and it will look lovely. Now, this cake is gonna be extra special because I'm filling it with a sprinkle surprise. So what I've done here, I have already cut 6 layers of cake. So what I did, I still made the mix in 2 separate tins like I usually do, but because they were taller, I was able to cut 3 layers. Now what I'm going to do is use a small circular cutter and cut a hole out of each layer. Try and get it as center as possible each time. And as usual, I'm going to be aware of which is the base of each cake, because I want one for the bottom and one for the very top of it. So here's the 2 bases. So I'll put these over here so I know what ones they are. And I'm going to keep their cut out circles and cut them in half, because they're going to act as a lid and a base for the sprinkles. So I'm going to keep the 2 base circles to one side, and then the rest of these pieces you can eat, turn into cake pops, throw away, or give them to whoever you like. And I'm also going to soak the sponges now. I've started to do this more recently, just soak the sponges first, and then you don't need to worry about soaking them as you build up the cake. And so now I'm ready to stack the cake like usual with buttercream. I have made my Swiss meringue buttercream here, and I've actually put a dollop of tahina paste, which is my new favorite combination, chocolate cake and tahina. It's absolutely delicious. I do it by taste, so it's about 2 tablespoons. And I'm going to secure the first layer, as usual, with a bit of buttercream. Double check it's the base, and place it on the board. And I'm going to get one of the centers that I cut out and put it at the bottom. Now I can go around with my buttercream. Now I'm not going to fill the center because it's going to be for the sprinkles. And I like to do round circles because I think it's the most even way of doing this when you're trying to avoid the center. Now because it's a 6-layer cake, rather than my usual 4 layers, I'm going to do slightly thinner layers of buttercream. Otherwise it just gets really tall and really difficult to stack. And I'm just going to spread that buttercream gently to make it nice and flat. And go on with the next layer. Again, avoiding the center, just going around that hole. And I'm going to repeat until I get the last layer of cake on. So you can see it's a pretty tall cake. I haven't even put the last layer on, but what I like doing is just with my palette knife, go around the center and just spread and scrape away any excess buttercream that may have got into there, because otherwise the sprinkles stick quite a lot when you pour them in. Now I can put the last layer on, and I'm turning it upside down so the flat side is on top. Whoa, that's a pretty tall cake. Now, if I had done thicker layers of buttercream, it would be really hard to mask this, which is why I've done slightly thinner layers. So now is the time to fill the middle if that's what you're doing. I have some crazy sprinkles here, and I'm simply just going to fill the middle with the sprinkles. And you can fill it with little chocolates or Smarties or anything, but this is going to look super colourful. Now I'm going to do it just below the top because I'm now securing the top with the last piece of middle that I cut out earlier. So now those sprinkles are secure in the middle of the cake, and now I'm going to crumb coat it like I usually do. I'm using that excess buttercream that's come out the sides to use as the crumb coat. Otherwise you just put too much buttercream on and you don't need to. So I like using that first before I add more buttercream if I need to. And since my first drip cake video, which has actually been out for quite a while now, I have an easier way of explaining how to mask and smooth out sides and straighten them. So just think there are two directions. There's horizontal and vertical and nothing in between. And I like to go over the top first, then focus on the sides, and then on the top again. So just think of that order. So I'm doing the top, I'm letting the palette knife do all the work, and always have a bowl to use for excess buttercream. So using the turntable and the shape of the palette knife to get a nice flat top. And now I can go around with my scraper. And I'm going to focus on the bottom corner, and naturally the rest of the scraper will be straight. That's where I'm applying my pressure. Now remember, this is only the crumb coating, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but the straighter it is, the easier the next layer will be. And then once you're happy with the sides, then you can concentrate on the top again. From the outside inwards, just scraping those corners nice and sharp. So the crumb coat is done, and now I'm going to set this in the fridge until it's nice and firm for about 20 minutes to half an hour. If you are in a rush, you can put it in the freezer for about 10 minutes and then take it out, but just don't leave it in there too long because the next stage will be that little bit harder. So the crumb coat is nice and firm, which means we can go over with our second layer of the rainbow stripes up the side. Now I have put into 5 piping bags 5 different colours of Swiss meringue buttercream. I've got yellow, purple, blue, pink and green. And all I'm going to do is pipe up the sides of the cake. Now I have already cut a small hole in the end. You don't need a nozzle for this. And you basically need to just be aware of how tall your cake is. Mine's quite tall, so I'm going to go over with 2 stripes of colour each. Now, if your cake is slightly shorter, you may only want to do 1 band of colour at a time. So I'm going to start off with the green and just go over the crumb coat with an even layer. And now I'm going to do 1 above it. And now for the second colour. Now it may even be a case that I repeat a colour at the top. But I'd rather do them slightly smaller than too thick and then run out of space for all the colours. Don't worry too much if there are some gaps, because we're going to scrape it smooth and they should fill in. So I'm going with the last colour. So I have got a little bit of white left, so I'm going to go back on with the green. I could have made the layers a little bit thicker, but I didn't. So I'm going to go over and duplicate the colour. And I'm not going to do drips on this cake, which means I want to put the colour on the top as well. And now I'm going to spread the top smooth. So to make sure you get nice sharp corners, I'm almost pushing the buttercream off the edge of the cake. I'm using the side of the palette knife to kind of scrape it to the outside. And when you're happy with the top, you can go around the side and smooth out that colour. Watch the magic happen. I like to do it at stages. So after I've scraped some off, I'll wipe that clean, put it in the bowl and do it again. Otherwise you get just a really big build-up of buttercream on your scraper, which makes it a lot harder. And I'm just going to keep going around until all those bubbles and air pockets are filled in. And then when you're happy with the sides, clean off the corners. So I'm really happy with the way that's turned out. You can see the really clearly defined layers. Now it's time to decorate. But what I usually do with all the leftover coloured buttercream is put it into a piping bag with a small star nozzle and use that to decorate the cake. So I've got a PME 13 in here, and I'm just going to put it into a glass and just use whatever's left of the buttercream and pipe it in there. And if I push them all down evenly. So I might go a bit rogue with the decoration because it's for my sister and she's given me free rein with creativity. Along the bottom, I thought it would be nice to put some of the sprinkles that I put inside to kind of give people a clue as to what's inside, really. So I'm just going to go round the side of the cake with a gentle sprinkling. I'm putting it onto the cake board, and then using a palette knife, I'm going to press it to the edge of the cake. And it just creates a pretty border at the bottom. And here I've got some chocolate decorations. So I've got a tempered chocolate sail and some wonderfully weird kind of, I don't even know what to call these, but they're chocolate balls, and then I just heat up a circular nozzle and poke holes in them. But they look really effective on cakes. So what I'm going to do is secure the wave with some buttercream. And then I like to use the piped buttercream as kind of a guide as to where I'm going to decorate. So I'll go over the top with some rosettes and stars. And now I'll go around with the other decorations. And maybe a couple down at the front. And I'm just going to go over the very top with a few of the sprinkles, just to balance out the decorations. And of course, to top it all off, some edible glitter. And that is how you make a rainbow cake. So you've got those clearly defined stripes down the side and decorated however you like. All these decorations are on my other videos on my channel, so go ahead and check them out. I would obviously love to cut a big slice out of this and show you that sprinkle surprise, but I am giving it to my sister, so she might be a bit angry if I do so. I will try to film it nevertheless. If you give it a go, please tag me on Instagram at George's Cakes, and in the meantime, please subscribe to this channel and share this video and give it a thumbs up. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you very soon.